Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we still, of course, keep it to 5 minutes, but we are going to pick out the biggest business story of the week, the most remarkable story, a sleeper story, one that's flying under the radar a little bit, and our favourite business-related story. What was the biggest story this week, do you reckon?
I really think it was the economy. The big one was the annual inflation figure. For the 12 months to the end of April, it came in at 3.6%. It looks like inflation at best is flatlining. It might even be rising. And we all know what that means for interest rates. Nothing's going to happen for a while. The trimmed mean measure of inflation, the Reserve Bank likes that one, takes out really volatile items like fruit and veggies. It ticked up to 4.1%. It isn't good. This is happening while we have really weak retail sales going on. We have a dreadful construction sector. Building approval figures this week dipped. In fact, we're running at about 163,000 houses a year. The government wants 240,000 houses a year to somehow address the housing crisis. The good news in the economy is business investment. That is up. We also had the Reserve Bank Chief Economist Sarah Hunter coming out this week saying that the Central Bank Board is absolutely focused on the fact that inflation is clearly still above the target band. Put all that together, we have a weak economy and we are not going to get any relief around interest rates anytime soon, Michael.
Yeah, that was the biggest story of the week. It was also a big week, though, for a couple of Australian companies on the world stage. Very quick mention of these two. BHP, the big Australian $75 billion bid for rival miner Anglo American. It had until late Wednesday night to make a firm revised bid. It couldn't. It needed more time. Anglo refused. So now BHP retreats and they can't do anything else for 6 months. In the meantime, maybe we'll see someone else, maybe Rio Tinto coming in, now that we know that Anglo is on the market, if the deal is right. And the other one, Sean, was Lendlease, former blue chip company, this week dumping its aggressive overseas expansion, writing down nearly $1.5 billion in investments in its construction and development operations. Instead, it's going to focus on Australia, major change in strategy, and really just a big week for companies, for Aussie companies on the world stage.
Sure was. Michael, your most remarkable story.
Most remarkable, there was only one, really, wasn't there? For the first time in history, a former US president has been convicted of a crime. Donald Trump found guilty this week of 34 counts of falsifying business records over hush money payments to a porn star. A jury of 12 New Yorkers found him guilty. He'll now be sentenced in July, potential for a whole range of different penalties, probation, that kind of thing. Jail is a real possibility. If he is jailed, he can still run as the Republican candidate for the election in November. This is all very, very unknown. It's all unprecedented. This has never happened before. People watching the trial were tipping that he would be found guilty. Trump himself was probably expecting to be found guilty, considering the day before he said that Mother Teresa couldn't beat these charges. The charges are rigged. He said it again afterwards, saying it's a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who is corrupt. The real verdict is going to be November 5 by the people. I am a very innocent man. Where to now? A lot of Republicans don't seem too fazed. Those in the campaign saying they're focused on the polls, not on the verdict, really turning it into an asset, portraying him as a victim of the system, a political prisoner was one tweet from the Republican campaign, from Trump's campaign. And it's worth noting that in the hour or two after the decision, Trump was still the hot favourite to win in betting markets. So who knows? Just an extraordinary story.
Yep, that was the most remarkable story of the week. Just want to quickly mention the fact that the Australian superannuation industry is closing in on $4 trillion. Big inflows, strong returns over the past 12 months means that the sector is now worth $3.85 trillion. Still well below the housing sector. That's worth about $10 trillion. But given that the superannuation surcharge is increasing from 11% to 11.5% from July 1, that sector's getting even bigger. Growing challenge for some of those big super funds, though. 700,000 baby boomers are going to retire over the next 5 years, draw down their savings. How are they going to manage that? It's a big one.
Yeah, it certainly is. Can I nominate a sleeper story for us, Sean?
Please do. Please.
So it's all about EVs. You would think that with the extraordinary hype around electric vehicles over the last couple of years that the entire world is about to go electric tomorrow. It is not, because this week the old guard of the automobile industry stood together and said, nah, we're not done yet. The bosses of Toyota, Mazda and Subaru all pledged to continue investing in fuel-based technology. Toyota unveiling plans for a new generation of internal combustion engines. What they're really focusing on here is the presence of an engine alongside a battery in a hybrid vehicle. It's a bit of a sleeper story because it's the first time really that the vehicle makers have actually united and said, no, we're not going full electric yet. There is still life here in internal combustion engines. It's probably welcome news to a lot of people in countries like Australia, where we just don't have the infrastructure yet to facilitate this mass transition to EVs. But really, it didn't get that much attention this week, but it is a major shift towards where we're heading in terms of driving around the place.
Sure is.
Favorite story, Sean? I know you've been itching to do this one. Go for it.
Yes, the one about Sony Music being the front runner to buy the music catalogue of British rock band Queen, which is expected to fetch about $1 billion, 1.5 billion Aussie. Great example of another asset class that has developed over recent years. Queen has been shopping its music catalogue around for more than a year. It was talking to Sony and Universal. Universal basically thinks it's a bit rich, $1 billion. If it does sell for that, it will be close to a record price. It'll include recorded music and publishing, as well as other income, including merchandise and licensing and revenue from the biopic film Bohemian Rhapsody. Of course, we've had Bruce Springsteen do this, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, more recently Kiss. However, Queen's the big one, most commercially successful group in music history, or at least one of them, having sold more than 300 million records globally.
It is a great story, that one. There we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow and please join us online on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.